Welcome. How are you? Bildo and Lindalin in Australia. Goodness me.
Good day.
This is the first time on podcast radio I've actually spoken to someone who's in Australia for the Pod 20. So you're a first.
Awesome. Welcome down under. Hello.
Yeah. Well, I live. Whereabouts in Australia are you right now?
Brisbane, Queensland.
Okay. I lived in Australia for 6.5 years. I lived in, started out, I lived in Sydney, and I went to Brisbane for the day.
The day?
Yeah,
Is that all that we got today?
Yeah, it was because one of the Australian airlines, I can't remember whether it was Ansett or Australian, they had this thing where it was called a mystery flight. And you bought a ticket at like a travel agent in town, and you didn't know where you were told what time to get to the airport, but you didn't know where you were going in Australia until you got to the airport. And we got to the airport and they said, "You're going to Brisbane for the day." And we went to Brisbane I think they got an idea from a similar scheme the airlines had been running with luggage for a lot of years.
Right. You're so lucky you didn't get dropped off in like the middle of Australia somewhere.
Yeah, but if we'd have gone to like Perth, we would have spent the day on the plane, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so
Did you enjoy Brisbane?
Yeah, well, we actually got in a car and we drove to the Gold Coast and we spent most of the time there.
Well, that's not Brisbane, that's the Gold Coast.
Yeah, sorry about that. But but I remember it having a bridge.
Oh, yes, the Story Bridge.
We have a couple.
Yeah, okay. And a river. Yeah. Well,
we have one.
That's called the Brisbane River. Yes.
So that's my day in Brisbane. So we should talk about what we're talking. If anybody's watching this on YouTube, I'm Graham Mack from Podcast Radio, and I host the Pod 20, which is a countdown on the air of the top 20 podcasts. And of course, one of those podcasts is Wine Chats with Bildo and Lindalin. And so I want to find out more about the podcast and more about you guys and how this all works. And the first thing is that you're drinking wine, which is okay because it's nighttime there. And when I emailed you and said, "Are you ready?" you said, "I hope you've got your wine ready." Well, the problem is, well, not only is it morning here, but the problem is I don't drink anymore. Unlike you, I drank a lot, but unlike you, I didn't go professional.
Yeah, we have to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's our
job. So I got a fake beer. I got a non-alcoholic beer. Is that okay?
Listen, it'll do.
Okay. Well, I'll open that, and then you won't feel like I'm ignoring you, and we'll enjoy that.
Oh wait, don't! Oh, you got to cheers. We got to cheers.
Oh, sorry. What is okay? Are we ready for it?
Well, first, can I just say, so I went and grabbed the bottle of wine that we had open already because we opened one yesterday together, and it is actually called London Calling.
Look at that.
Like, how funny is that?
And it's got the Union Jack on it and everything. Right.
Oh, how
right.
Cool.
Here's ones we prepared earlier.
Okay. Okay. So now we can do it officially.
Sure.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right. Yeah.
Cheers,
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right. Right.
So good.
That London Calling.
And so is London Calling, is that British wine? Because those two words don't normally go well together.
No, it's an Australian wine,
Right.
but the label is well, the wine itself is London Calling. It's a Claymore wine. Look, technicality, it's a red wine. It's good.
Okay. All right.
Looking.
Yeah. But having listened to a lot of your podcasts, you don't, although you announced like the guest wine on each episode, you don't talk about wine that much, do you?
No, we know nothing about wine at all. Billy doesn't even.
I don't even really drink wine. I'm more of a beer drinker, personally.
Right. So why a podcast that features wine then?
Well, the whole basis was friends, girlfriends getting together, chatting, and normally girls have a glass of wine or a bottle of wine, or it's always involved, right, in those gossipy chats and girl chats. So we were like, well, yeah, let's drink wine. And then we just came up with the idea, well, we'll feature wine and then wine sponsors. And it just kind of fell together. It just made sense.
So how did an Aussie and a Canuck then? You what?
You don't sound convinced.
Okay, no, but I'll take it. So,
Yeah.
so an Aussie and a Canuck. How did you end up doing an offensively funny podcast about drinking wine and chatting life?
Billy, that's you.
Well, I had a blog, the blog of Bildo back in the day, and I ran it for a few years, and it was one of those middle of the night, like, ideas where I was inspired to start a podcast. They were obviously podcasting back in 2019 was still very, very new. I mean, it's still very new, but it's taken off a lot more since then. But anyway, I just had this idea where I was like, listen, talking is easier than writing. And, it'd be nice to make what I write about into like conversations with a girlfriend. And so I came to Linny's house really excited, and I had this like it hit me that it was her.
Well, no, to pause. Rewind a few weeks before, she came to my house as a friend chatting, telling me that she was starting a podcast and that she had asked another one of her friends to co-host it. And I was thinking, thank God she didn't ask me, because there's no way I want to do a podcast. Like, no, thank you. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cute. Have fun.
But then it hit me that it was actually Linny. That I was like, I just thought that she would be the perfect friend to just have a drink with and just talk about really openly and honestly about the stuff that we experience in marriage and parenthood and life as women. And I came to her house really excited, and I said to her, like, it's you. Like, it's you and me. Like, it has to be you. Like, I kind of didn't really give her an option.
Yeah. And I flat out said no.
You did?
Asked me, I did, because it wasn't my jam. Like, it was never on my radar. It was never anything that I even thought that I would even be interested in. So I was like, oh no, Bill, like I can't. It's not an interest of mine. And then I saw her whole little face just deflate, and she was so sad. And she's like, oh, really? Can you at least just think about it? And then, because we are such genuinely good friends, I felt bad. So I said to her, look, I will, to support you, because I wanted to say, like, she was so excited about the idea of starting it. So I thought, well, what do I care if it doesn't go off? Like, who cares? I'll just support her.
Right?
I'm like, whoop-de-doo-dah. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. And then here we are.
You're welcome. Look at us now on live, basically on TV, with the very famous Graham Mack. And you are, don't get me wrong, I know who you are, Graham Mack. You know what I mean? On podcast radio, that's also going to be extremely famous. So
what's your backgrounds then? I'll start with you, Bildo. Have you got a broadcasting background, or journalism, or entertainment, stand-up? What is it?
No, not at all. Just an absolute love for being hilarious. Really, I didn't. We actually met about 14 years ago at work in a government job. We were both in admin. We were both young and adorable. I was young. She was adorable. And we just hit it off straight away. And I worked there for about 11 years, had my kids, and I think I just got to a point where I was like, I'm in the wrong industry. I should not be working for the government. I should not be working for the man. This is not my jam. Like, it just wasn't my jam. So I started my blog to just kind of have something to get out of me. I wanted to express my creativity somehow, I guess. And writing has always kind of been in my, life. And so I just started writing the blog, and then eventually just started the podcast. I really have no background in it. I just sort of thought I'd start learning and build it from the bottom up.
And Lindalin, what's your story? Because obviously you've moved to Australia from Canada.
Yeah, so I came over, about 15 years ago, with a jerk that didn't turn out. Sucker. Anyways, that's another story, Graham. So I came over on a working holiday visa and ended up meeting my husband not long after.
So you're an overstayer.
Yeah, I guess so. Especially if you ask my mom. She's like, oh, you'll be back after your year. And then, I'm still here 15 years later. I just came over working holiday visa, met my husband, got married, had kids, was working, like what Billy said, working for the government, just admin job.
And your husband's an Aussie?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
He's an Aussie, born and bred in Brisbane. So I was quite happy being a stay-at-home mom. Until Billy shattered that.
Yeah, ruined her life.
Yeah.
Or improved it, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. No, I was just happy being a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 young kids. I was just doing my thing, and here we are.
Right. And you found that the podcast, has it changed you in any way at all?
Oh,
Yeah.
it has completely changed my life. I don't know about Linny. Linny's trying to stay I guess, in her stay-at-home mum kind of mode. But to me, it's totally changed my life. Like I don't know. I just feel happier. Like I feel it's a totally different career for me, and I'm gunning to really make it into a career. You know what I mean? Like I think we've both been working very hard at making Wine Chats, as big as it can be.
Yeah.
And so I guess we're gunning for a complete career change. I am.
Oh,
but
sure.
It has totally changed absolutely everything about my life. Yeah.
I enjoy it. Like I honestly didn't think I would enjoy it. When Billy asked me, like I said, I was like, I don't care if it doesn't go well. But now I care. Like it's a passion of ours and I love doing it. We have so much fun, and it's, even though we're not getting paid for it yet, like it's a job. Like we love it. We're not in this just as a little hobby podcast anymore. Like this is what we want to do and make it successful. So yeah, it's totally changed. And even like the confidence that we have. I remember the first night, so this is the little studio we record in, it's at my house. And the first night we recorded and we weren't live or anything like that, we were petrified. It took us forever to hit that record button because we were so insecure about it. It was the unknown. So now,
and even then it was more wine than chat. It was just like getting progressively drunk to be like, to have enough confidence to record. And it was probably about 40-minute recording of just gibberish. It was just rambles.
Shocking.
It was shocking. So we've come a long way in our almost 2 years.
And now you've got into it. How much of it then is edited?
Not a lot, actually.
Not a lot.
Because it doesn't sound, I mean, it's if it is edited, it's edited seamlessly. It sounds very natural, the way the conversation, it sounds like you're eavesdropping on in some cases, a very private conversation.
Yeah. And we're sorry for that, but not sorry, because that's actually what we're aiming for, right? That's the whole basis in the podcast. Two girlfriends chatting, or two friends, it doesn't matter if you're girls, guys, whatever, just two close friends chatting about life, whether it's sex or children or, pet peeves, whatever it is that you would normally chat. And I think that's kind of what makes Billy and I jive so well together with the podcast, because we do have a genuinely good friendship. And that's what we want our listeners to feel, like that they're just listening in to us chatting. So when we come down to start chatting about whatever topic we've chosen, like we don't script it. We just know what the topic is. We hit record and we just go.
And you spoke about your friendship, and I mentioned earlier how you're trying to turn drinking professional, but it looks like what you're trying to turn your friendship into something professional. Has the friendship changed along the way since it's become more important?
In a good way. I think it's gone gangbusters stronger. And we were just talking about this the other day, how like Billy's dubbed the dreamer and I'm dubbed the realist, because Billy's like, oh my God, let's go on TV. You
don't understand. We're gonna go live. We're gonna be on the TV. We're gonna do this. Like I have these crazy ideas up here, and from the very beginning, as soon as we started, I was like, Lenny, we're gonna do live shows. We're gonna start a school. We're gonna teach people how to podcast. Like I had these great grand dreams. Lindalin is more realistic.
I pull her down, but with saying, so the point of that is that we're very different with our mindset towards the podcast, and we will disagree, but it's never come between our friendship, and we just have constructive conversations about it. And like, we'll be like, well, I disagree with you. I want this or that, whatever. But our friendship, I think it's just even stronger.
I think it's definitely gone stronger. And I think also what I think I find really important is that every time I do see Lindsay, or like on a day that I come for us to record, we always have our sort of actual chat. So I'll get here in the morning, we'll have a water or a coffee or a tea, no alcohol yet. And we'll just like, hey, how's your week? What's happened? Like we're very involved in each other's lives. Obviously we have to be, not just for the podcast, but because we adore each other. And I think age has something to do with it. Lindalin is very old. So I think that it's really good that like she's so much more mature now than she used to be.
She is, look, I can't swear, but you are such a cow.
Can you swear?
You can on the YouTube thing, but I'd have to cut it out for when this becomes the podcast radio version. So it makes it easier. It's a lot less work for me if you don't.
Yeah. Look, I'll be nice to Billy. You're lucky, Billy. He makes fun of me all the time, and it's always been the case, right? Like it's just the way we are.
That's what works.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, we've touched on how personal the chats become. can we go through just a few of the topics of previous episodes? Some of these were mentioned in your trailer. If I give you the title of the episode, if you could give us just a roundabout chat without getting too explicit on what was involved in that episode. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Yeah,
we can try. Yeah.
Okay. The episode entitled "Let's Get Intimate."
Oh yeah, that was me.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was one of our first ones. I was wearing lingerie for my husband, and I felt completely like a fool because that's just not me. And I was like hiding in the bathroom, trying to get enough confidence to come out for him. Yeah, because some women, you know what I mean? Like that's just, I put my pajamas on and I'm in bed. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I think that was
the episode. No, that was the episode about the husbands getting handsy.
Was it?
I think it was about the husbands getting handsy. I know.
I think you might be thinking of the one about the quiche. That the husband's getting handsy.
No, we talk a lot about husbands getting handsy.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because it does come up in that one. I know that much. Yeah.
Yes. Right. I feel like Let's Get Intimate prompted having Ben on, because then he got my brother-in-law, who's very well spoken. We had him on the show a few episodes later because he had beef with us about the episode Let's Get Intimate, because I think it was something around about basically women saying, like, we're so sick of husbands just wanting to grab all the. Can I do this? Is that you can edit that out? Like grab you.
Anything visual's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I think it was. Yeah, I think that because I always remember that episode because it prompted Ben to contact us and be like, "You may think we're handsy, but because we don't get enough intimacy, like." You know, this is how men get intimacy and this is how women get intimacy. It kind of started that particular conversation about like how women and men perceive intimacy differently. So I think Let's Get Intimate was more about like how we perceive intimacy, which is kind of annoying a lot of the times when we're busy and tired and have headaches conveniently.
Right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Who was it said? Was it Pamela Anderson? No, it wasn't Pamela Stevenson. Billy Connolly's missus. But did she actually, was it her that said women need to feel loved to have sex, and men need to have sex to feel loved? I think that was the quote. Yes. And so it was along those lines. What
Ben busted out for us. Yes, that's exactly what
he said it too. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that, for me, honestly, it resonates. Like I get it, because if men aren't getting sex, then obviously they don't feel that like lovey-dovey kind of intimacy. This is very loose, but you know, obviously for us to get to the point where we want sex, we need to have that like romance and that intimacy and that like relaxation in our brain. So we're two totally different. We really are from Venus, and you guys really are from Mars. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, and you lot are really from Venus, because Venus's atmosphere is mostly poisonous gas, and that explains it explains your obsession with scented candles and scented stuff. Yeah.
Right? Isn't that disgusting? Seriously, in my mouth.
Salted caramel and Roman raisin, baby.
Those are the worst smells.
Literally smells like sex to me. It's amazing.
It smells like cheap, nasty poor sex.
Oh my God.
Me. Those.
Isn't that the best kind of sex with the husband? Cheap, nasties, you know.
Let's laugh nervously and move on to another episode. The episode entitled "Never Have We Ever."
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was fun.
What was in that one?
Yeah.
Well, we played a drinking game, a very popular drinking game,
and we just asked each other, "Never have I ever."
Yeah.
So who did? I think you did worse than I did. Did you?
I don't think so. I feel like that was not probably a good thing for either of us.
Right.
Was that the poop stories?
Oh, I don't know.
I have a feeling they had a few.
No, look.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? You shouldn't make that face, because
poop is normal.
Poop is normal.
Yes, it is. Poop is normal and stories are normal. But when you have poop stories, that's when you think, okay, if it's that much of an incident, it's become a story, then maybe it deserves a face, you know?
Right. But see, this is the thing. People get embarrassed. Why? Everybody poops.
Okay. Well, if it's just a standard story of pooping, yes. But when it's poop stories, suggests that there's an extra element or twist to it, doesn't it?
And there definitely was. So.
Yeah.
What was the twist?
Well, we pooped our pants, Graham. Haven't you?
Okay. Not since I was 5. So far, so good. I mean, I've got some, I'm sure in my elderly years I'll get that number above 1 at some stage, but it's holding at 1. Yeah, once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, there's an actual story behind it. It's not that we're in constant.
You should listen.
To
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
listen.
yeah, okay. Well, what I was trying to do, I mean, I've listened to a few episodes, but I was just trying to save some time listening to them all. I thought some of the ones I've just seen the titles, I thought maybe you can fill in the details. Okay, well, let's move on then. The episode entitled The Mayor of Sex Hack.
Oh,
the marriage sex hack.
That was
yours. Yeah. Lenny, tell him what the sex hack is.
I don't know. What was my sex
Oh,
hack?
remember the 3 days?
Oh, that one. Oh,
Yes.
right. Okay. So I have a girlfriend that was trying to spice up her love life. And she was like, Lindsay, you got to do this. If you have sex, now bear with me, 3 days in a row. For a guy, he's like, yeah, sweet. I could do that. No problem. Right. But for us girls, 3 nights or days in a row, that's a lot of sex. Like I go once and I'm like, yeah, sweet. I'm good for like 3 weeks. Right. Leave me alone. So her theory was, and what happened with her and her husband was they had sex for 3 days in a row and she was good to go every night after that. So she just couldn't get enough of her husband. It just, I guess, fueled her fire, so to speak. So
I
she
see.
was like,
oh, right.
Yeah.
So
she
this
was
is a
saying-
tip now.
Mm.
Well, Lenny had to do the test. We
Right.
had to, for scientific purposes,
Of course.
research, we needed to make sure that this, theory holds out. So Lenny,
It didn't hold out. It did not.
Spoiler
I was
alert.
tired. I was like, oh God. Look, the first night was fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then I was like, man, I got to do that all over again tomorrow.
But you did.
I did.
And then the third night,
My husband was too tired. I'm like, yes.
so see, it worked out in everybody's best interest.
Yeah. Yeah. So the theory didn't work on me, but it could work on some people.
Or
Yeah,
your
so you never
husband
know.
either, it didn't work on. So it was a double fail, really. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
now
scientifically speaking, it failed. Yeah.
there's an episode we mentioned earlier, which is one I did listen to, which is called The Quickie.
Yes.
Now, first of all, you don't call it a quickie, you call it a quiche.
Yes.
Why
Billy
is that?
does.
I along with all my friends now, it seems.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's one of those couple things. It just kind of happened. It was like, how the word quickie kind of looks like quiche. And
Right.
so to not, I don't know, it's just one of those couple things that happened. So we were like, hey, you want to have a quiche?
Right,
And-
okay. Yeah.
And we have a quiche.
See, Graham's with me. He's
I was
like,
going to say,
don't-
Graham's
yeah,
face is saying
yeah,
it all,
yeah.
really. Yes.
I hear you, Graham.
How's that fake
The
beard
word
sound,
can
right?
be confusing, though. I mean, I once said to Julie, do you fancy a quickie? And her eyes lit up because she thought I said cookie.
Oh, see, so you have cookies and we have quiches.
No, but I think she actually wanted a real
She
cookie.
actually did
Well,
want a cookie. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you need to approach with a double, like with the cookie and
Yeah. And the what?
Yeah,
Well, I
I
don't wanna
see.
word on. You know what I'm saying?
But then the opposite, Graham, to a quiche
Oh, yes.
is a lasagna.
Yeah.
So lasagna takes a long time to cook, right?
And to make.
Oh,
And to
I
make some
see.
lasagna.
Yes, I see. Right. Okay. So it's all about Italian food. Fine.
Seems that way. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to something serious now. Something controversial. Why were you labeled racists?
Look. Okay.
Lenny.
So
You're up.
I'm older than Billy, as she likes to make everybody aware of. And I was having a bad skin day, right? Was not feeling it. And we were about to put up an Insta story. And every time you do an Insta story, obviously you're picking a filter, right? So I said to Billy,
Right, Graham?
Right,
Right.
Graham? Right? Beauty mode, put the beauty mode on, you'll be fine. So I'm like, we have to find a filter that makes my skin look nice, having a bad skin day. So I pick a filter, and the filter has a technical glitch. And instead of making my face beautiful, it just blacked out my face. So my whole face just had this big black circle on it, except my eyebrows and my eyes. And we thought it was freaking hilarious because we're like, oh God, Insta thinks your skin's really crap too, because it's totally blacked out your face. We were not even concentrating on what color was on my face. We just thought it was funny that it blocked out my face.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that Insta, instead of making her beautiful, just like covered her right up.
It was like,
I thought that's actually better, to be honest.
Yeah, there's no hope for you, Lindsay. We're just going to cover your whole face. And then, so we posted the story, and in the story, Billy had said.
And then I said the infamous blackface word, because when I tried the filter, the glitch had gone. Filter looked great on me. Lindsay comes back into the shot, and I say, oh God, I hope it doesn't give you blackface again. That's terrible. And we post the story. At the time, I think like even just the word blackface, I was like, oh, this is a touchy word. But because I was so like, well, this is nothing to do with race. This is nothing to do with anything in that nature. It's fine. We're just having a laugh. It's fine.
And for me, I was so naive with it. I wasn't even thinking on a racial term at all. Like it could have been purple, could have been red, any color. Like I wasn't even concentrating on the color. I just thought it was hilarious that I was going on how bad I looked, and that it just covered my whole face.
Too. Yeah.
So we were signed up with this podcast company that was helping helping to promote us. And they emailed us pretty much within a couple hours saying that they were axing us, taking us off of their network due to us being racial. We went against the rules of their network, which is fine in the sense of if they felt that way. But there was a paragraph within that email that was quite nasty, saying we were disgusting, offensive, disgraceful. And we got really defended at first because we just didn't see how we were being racist at first. But then we came around, we're like, well, look, if he's offended, we get it. And we put our thought process on through the eyes of somebody else. And we're like, okay, yeah, hang on. We can see how that could be perceived incorrectly. So we deleted it, and we emailed him saying, we apologize. However,
when you say him, are you talking about the person from the podcast company, or are you talking about somebody who made an actual complaint?
No, the person from the podcast company.
So how did they find out? They listened to it and went, that's not right.
Yeah, they follow us, so they would have seen our post. Yeah, they would have seen our story.
Because they took a screenshot of the post as well to send to us, to as an example of this is why you're being axed, basically.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't necessarily what was in the podcast, it was the posts you did with the Insta picture that they got upset about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And was that person black?
We don't know.
And that's a good question. I don't know. And I said this in the episode when we recorded it. I said, I had a feeling that maybe he was, only because not to like racially profile, only because I feel like the response was such that like of such like anger and like such upset that I feel like maybe is something that they've come across. Yeah, it seemed personal. It's something that they probably experienced a lot in their lives, and that just triggered them immediately. Like that to me is what it sounded like. And obviously, like Lindsay said, like initially we were very defensive, like, what? We're not racist. What are you talking about? Like we couldn't be further from that. I mean, I don't want to brag here, but I'm married to an Asian, so, but like, we're just so not those people. And so I think it was very, like, we took it to heart when that happened, because obviously, like, nobody wants to be labeled racist. Yeah. Definitely not nowadays. It's definitely was not our intent to upset anybody in that way, but we could see how it could be perceived that way. And I think our only thing was, it would have been a good conversation to have had with somebody on a professional level to say, hey, this is actually offensive. It could be perceived as offensive, as opposed to just, being so angry and culling us like that. Yeah, it's a very interesting conversation nowadays, because it's obviously a very, very sensitive topic. It's obviously such a touchy subject all over the world.
But I think you're right. I think it should have been a conversation, because, if someone says they're offended, you can't argue with that. They were offended, but they may have misunderstood, and a conversation may have fixed that up. Or you may not have realized that doing something like that was offensive, because, it's a shame that it went atomic straight away, and it didn't become a conversation first. And I think in today's day and age, people are very, very quick to judge, and it's everything, no pun intended, becomes either black or white, it doesn't. There isn't this opportunity for people to become enlightened by hearing someone else's experience and realizing how words and actions affect people. I think it's really a shame because it makes everybody gun shy, and right. So what was the outcome? Has it been sorted out? Have you been put back on with their service? No, that's it. You're just branded now.
Yeah, they never responded.
I emailed them.
Yeah.
And, first up, apologized that we offended them, but then defended our actions and why we said what we said, just to give them an idea of like what was going on in our head, right? And didn't get a response. So it's funny when you say gun shy, because Billy and I haven't touched on this topic at all really throughout the whole podcast, because we purposely, because we didn't want to offend people, because that's not our jam at all. And we've been so afraid to say something to offend someone. Yeah. And then look what happens.
Yeah, and this is exactly why, and this is one of the things that I guess we kind of like discussed in the podcast episode as well. It's like we just can't, because it's never happened to us personally. It's not, we haven't been personally affected by racism, let's face it. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like Yugoslav, she's Canadian, but we're still white women in Australia. It's not, people aren't going to be racist to us. So it's really hard for us to actually be able to recognize all the like facets of racism that exist and all the like different levels and nuances of racism that of things that could be racist. So it's kind of hard, like you said. Like I didn't think we weren't being careful is actually the like tragic thing of it all, is that I actually thought we were all, there was like a little alarm in my head when I said the word blackface, because I'm like, oh, this is a bad word. Like even if I'm not using it in the context of like the offensive blackface, I guess, but even just uttering the word these days gets us branded as disgusting and disgraceful, so it's a really kind of scary, I think, like in the one hand, like we're like, yay, one chats, we want to be famous. Well, we don't want to be famous, but like we want to make this a thing and we want to have this huge audience and we want to, do these great things with this platform. But in the other hand, it's terrifying what's happening out there with people in the media and how quickly things can go downhill over something that you said 10 years ago now, 20 years ago, like something that now is getting rehashed. So not only is it scary what we say now, but what we said before is scary too. I just don't know. You can't. It's a scary world. It's people are so sensitive and angry. It's hard to navigate. I don't know. It's hard to be funny and offensive. That's why we say we're offensively funny, because we will offend you.
I wonder if you'd posted a picture of you two camping, would that be offensive to homeless people,
Exactly.
We'll try it. Thankfully, most people don't have the internet. So,
okay. So maybe that's a safe area to go to then. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, we'll tackle that next episode.
Okay. Just don't mention I had anything to do with the suggestion. I was just in case.
We'll be tagging you in it, Graham.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. So, what podcasts and podcasters inspire you then?
Oh, good question.
Where should we start?
The one that when we first started this whole thing, and because I never even listened to podcasts when we started this, Girls Gotta Eat. I just started to look for some podcasts, and I don't even know, are they American?
I think they're American.
They're American, yeah. They're just two fun girls. I don't know. Google them. Girls Gotta Eat.
Basically us, but younger
and
American.
And it's called Girls Gotta Eat.
Girls Gotta Eat, yeah.
Yes.
I don't really listen to them, to be honest. I just like their vibe and the whole, like we follow them on Insta and stuff like that. They kind of stand out because they remind me of you and I having fun.
But you know who actually really got me into like loving podcasts? It was My Favorite Murder. And I don't know if you've heard of them. They're an American podcast as well.
It sounds like a true crime podcast.
It is a true crime podcast, but they are just so hilarious. And I kind of found that eventually I didn't even want to hear about the crime bit, because it was almost triggering after a while. You listen to every episode and know about these people getting so brutally murdered, and they're so open about it. So I actually used to just listen to the first bit where they would just chat about their lives, like talk about the stuff that happened to them. And they have this cat called Elvis, and he meows every once in a while. And I know I don't even like cats, but I like Elvis. And so I think they are the ones who kind of got me into it. But I guess now that we're in it, like something like Shameless podcast as well, which is a very popular Australian podcast. Again, two young girls just talking about, just current events and interviews with just people, I guess, who would interest us, as women and as, I guess, Australians and, whatnot. So those girls are amazing. And then obviously we've got a few podcasts like, the Matt and Alex show. They're the guys, Matt O'Kine is a good friend of ours. He's a comedian and he started a podcast here as well. And he used to be on the radio. It was him and his friend who did a breakfast show together. And then they just started their own podcast about a year ago. And so we love them. I just think we kind of love the guys who are open and funny, who are just kind of easy to listen to and
genuine relationships. Like, because we obviously we're good friends or whatever. And just get along, right? That you can sit down and just listen to them and laugh and go, oh yeah, they're cool.
And actually then follow on with their little like in jokes. I think that's what kind of starts to happen when you listen to somebody, like to listen to a podcast where people are actually friends. You start to kind of feel in with them. And I would hope that that's what people, you're part of the tribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
You must
When I listen, I don't hear that many Australian podcasts, but I hear, and this is maybe an old reference for you because these guys may have been and gone and had their moment, but I hear like a female version of like Hamish and Andy. I hear, or a female dirty version of Hamish and Andy.
Honestly, remember
when we first started doing this, we kept tagging them in everything and referencing, saying we want to be the female version of Hamish and Andy.
You did, right?
We're like the Hamish and Andy with vaginas. Remember that?
100%. Yes.
Can we say vagina? It's a technical term.
Yes,
it's a scientific term. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And did they respond? Did they help out? Did they retweet?
No.
And
no. Thanks, Hamish. Thanks, Andy. Whatever.
Guys.
Look at us now, Hamish and Andy.
Yeah.
Are they on YouTube right now though with us? You know, are they on podcast radio? Ask the question. You know,
no, they're probably shooting one of their TV shows though.
They're probably busy somewhere.
So what's next for Bildo and Lindalin? What's going? I mean, we mentioned TV. You know, are you soon to be a major motion picture? What's planned?
Clearly, no. Well, this year we thought, okay, so we've been doing it for a year and a half now. So we're still fairly new, but we've been in it long enough where we're like, we need to step up, you know, take it to the next level. So we're rebranding ourselves. We just had some professional photos taken because we want people to look at us seriously, you know, as
we're not going away is the point. We're not going away. We're here to stay.
Yeah. So we want to do live shows. We'd love to be guest speakers. We would love to
merchandise. You should have a t-shirt with wine chats with Bildo and Lindalin right here, Graham. Next time we do an interview, I'll send you one.
You should send me one, and I'll wear it. Yeah, that's a deal.
Totally.
Yeah.
We want to do a whole bunch of things. We don't just want to record podcasts. You know, we want to take to the next level. We, like what Billy said, we don't want to be famous, but we want to We want to be known. We want to do as much as we can.
And you want to be rich, obviously.
Oh, that too. That would be great.
Rich.
Yeah.
Lindalin's already rich, but like I want to be that rich is what I want. Just like a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
But really, we just want to make a business out of it. And in all honesty, I think this just feels right for us. You know what I mean? So it's not about making it in the next month. It's not about making it in the next 2 months. You know, as like what I said, our friend Matt said, you know, Matt O'Kine said from the beginning, he was like, that's cool. I sat him down. We had our 6 episodes released and I sat him down and I was like, okay, cool. What do I do now? Because I was still working and I wanted to quit my job and I wanted to pursue this. And he was like, okay, like
that's
chill.
Cute.
That's cute. Chill out. He was like, anybody can record 6 episodes of a podcast. Anybody can record 50. Anybody can record 100. Like you need to be able to like be in it. This is a long haul thing. This is not a short-term game. So I think like Lindsay said, like we've been doing it for a year and a half now. We're ready to take it to the next level. We've got a bunch of, you know, interviews lined up, you know, a bunch of guests lined up for our podcast. You know, I think we just now when we've got Rhodey, who's actually able to, you know, facilitate all this.
This is the Rodecaster Pro, which they really should, Rode should really have sent you it for free, considering you're giving them this big plug.
Exactly.
Oh, Graham, from your mouth to God's ears, to Rode God's ears.
We will take reimbursement, Rode. It is fine.
That's right.
We'll send you our bank details.
It's never too late.
Right? So yeah, no, we just want to start taking it. We want to take it seriously enough where people look at us.
We want people to start taking us seriously.
That's what I was trying to say, you dip poop.
You're not allowed to swear, Graham.
I said poop. See? The P word again, Graham. God.
And do you get any kickback from the wine companies that you're clearly giving free advertising to?
Yeah, well, so the way that whole works, and we should say we're actually wine ambassadors for the Hidden Sea wine label, which is amazing.
Cool.
So
actually, they're in the UK, and doing some really cool stuff over there.
Yes, you should know them. Do you know them?
You should.
As I don't drink, they're not really on my radar anymore. No. Yeah.
So they're amazing. They remove plastic bottles from the ocean every time you buy their wine. So they're not only do they make really good wine, they are literally saving the world, cleaning the world. And they've just won award for People's Choice People's Wine Choice Award in the UK. Yeah. So they're going gangbusters. And yeah, so we're proper wine ambassadors for them, which is really exciting.
But we also proper love them as well. Like we
Yeah.
genuinely, like, they're such a good company. And we're not,
Yeah.
this isn't like a plug for them or for us or anything. It's just a genuine, like, I just love that we're, I guess, aligned with a brand that's just so passionate about like saving the world
Yeah.
and helping people drink
Good
Yeah.
wine.
good wine. So
Yeah.
holla. But
Yeah.
yeah, we get wine sent to us basically from wine companies. So to be a wine sponsor, you should check out our website,
Totally.
winechatspodcast.com.
So you really have turned drinking into a professional activity then.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a proper business.
Yeah. So if they send us wine, we'll create an ad
Yeah.
for them that we put in the episode wherever we feature their wine. We obviously showcase their wine on all of our socials and tag them, and yeah, so it's part of the whole business aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's the other thing that we want to do. We want to start, collaborating with wineries and, maybe doing a live show at wineries or having us be guest speakers at one of their wine lunches or wine tours or whatever.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Or
manifest.
anywhere that sells wine. I mean, there are I've heard there are places where you can go and buy wine. Yeah, you've got the opportunities here are immense, aren't they? For commercially as well as it being just a great podcast about a couple of
And
ladies keeping it real.
Yeah, we're hoping that podcast radio is going to fly us out to London when Corona calms down. I mean,
Well, that's the only reason. That's the only reason why you're not here now, is because of this whole Corona thing. Because Jerry usually flies the guests in, but because of the situation, this is why we've had to do it this way. So that's only a matter of time.
We'll be emailing him as soon as the travel bans are lifted, and
look, we're happy to fly economy. Like we're not princesses. Economy's fine, right?
Send
really?
Yeah. Jesus, that'll take forever.
We'll do it.
Well,
2 weeks away from the kids. Wow.
I hope you do. I hope you get to London at some stage and I get to interview in actually Podcast Radio Studios. And of course, I'll be wearing the Wine Chats t-shirt at the time.
Of course.
Bildo and Lindalin from Wine Chats. Great to talk to you. Continued success. And you get the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts?
Yep. All major platforms.
All major platforms and a few dodgy ones as well.
Yep.
Definitely the dodgy ones.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for being on Podcast Radio. We'll just have to see where you end up on the chart this week.
Oh, thanks you so
Graham.
much. I can't wait.
Okay.
Obviously number one.
Well, you just never know.
Oh, come on.
Graham. Well, I don't know. I don't control the chart. You control the chart by sending submissions in at thepodcastradio.co.uk. It goes out Friday, 5 p.m. GMT, Graham Mack time, Friday, 5 p.m. in the UK, and then across the weekend on Podcast Radio. Hey, thanks for coming on, girls. Brilliant.
Thanks, much, Graham. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.